What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I want to mention a couple things first before I get into the main part of this video. First off, I have yet to have recorded a video that pertains to what's been up in life the last few months and what to expect going forward, along with a little bit of an announcement on how this main part of my YouTube channel will be comprised of as well going forward into the future. So stay tuned for that. Still working on getting that recorded as well. You definitely do not want to miss that, of course, because we talk about a lot about what's been happening and what my goals are going forward in the remainder of 2025. But also, too, for some of you who watched my channel back in 2019, specifically the second half of the year, you saw that I did a handful of album reviews, and it was because of the fact of stuff's kind of cool to do. Talk about music on here, and of course, some people that I would watch on YouTube, on the regular, actually, doing album reviews and discussing music and their fondness for it. I think it's pretty cool. And I'm like, you know what? Let's get back into that. So, a little bit of a spoiler alert for that aforementioned video I just mentioned about. Music will be kind of like a sub-branch of the main part of my channel. So, without further ado, with the irony and how funny it is of restarting this stuff back up, we're going to talk about a musician with the same first name as mine, Steven Wilson. Steven Wilson, man, Steven Wilson's he's among the greatest musicians right now alive in the modern era. He is a very vast and widespread catalog of music that stretches back to the early 1990s, and it's an incredible gift of stuff that he has given to us over the years, whether it be his soul stuff or from Porcupine Tree, which is what he's most known from, of course, with that project. But man, Porcupine Tree, amazing group. If you don't know who that is, you need to check them out. And also some of Steven Wilson's solo stuff, because goodness, he has got some incredible stuff. But Steven Wilson, though, this is his 8th solo release, and we're going to dive right into it. The album is entitled The Overview, and it's an album that is 41 minutes in length, but it's only 2 tracks. Objects Outlive Us and the self-titled track, The Overview. Now, The Overview features a return to the progressive rock sound after he had previously moved in more of an electronic territory with the 2 preceding releases. Now, of course, it's a concept album about the overview effect, a cognitive shift caused by viewing the Earth from space. My apologies on that. From the eyes of an astronaut, essentially. It was basically utilized as a starting point. The concept was for the sound of the record, which was described by Wilson as being similar to acts such as Pink Floyd, Tangerine Dream, and Vangelis, in a more modern context, quote unquote. So, basically, the record premiered at the BFI IMAX alongside a commissioned film by Miles Scarin, apologies if I'm mispronouncing that. Alongside the main album, a deluxe edition titled The Altar View featured an additional hour of music was released, and of course, he is headlining his first solo tour in over 7 years. So, with all that said and done, let's get straight into the track, Objects Outlive Us. This is a 23-minute song. It's a long song, but there's a lot that happens in here. I'm just going to say straight out the gate, this song has a very nice gradual buildup of atmosphere. It's something to where it leaves you wanting to come back for more. The more you hear it, the more you discover. And for the first 2 minutes of that, it builds it up with a falsetto voice from Steven Wilson and some harmonized vocals, and you're setting up the atmospheric scene of basically a view from space down onto the Earth. Essentially, we get from the 2 to 4 minute mark, you have that piano transition with even some maybe march-like vocals in a way. Maybe even with the harmonized vocals, maybe even giving you a little bit of a hint of Queen? I don't know. That sounds probably a bit egregious, but either which way, from the 4 to 8 minute mark of the song, I kind of you can identify a mix of hearing that Pink Floyd vibe, even old Porcupine Tree. I'm talking Up the Downstairs and Sky Moves Sideways kind of feel. And even in the form of third person narration vocals. It's more from telling from the perspective of somebody viewing things on the Earth, but also giving that contrast with space, the celestial stuff in space going on. Not just celestial, more just what occurrences are ongoing in space on a daily basis. And you do get a 1970s vibe here with this section. Matter of fact, I get the 70s vibe quite a bit in this song, especially. Near the 8-minute mark, there's like this nice bass transition. And of course, it dials up the intensity a little bit with like a groovy kind of riffing through here. And into the 9-minute mark, it's almost like it almost feels to me like a speed up in the transition forward to a time in another day, basically. Or should I say, speeding up in time to another day, another situation developing with someone's personal life not exactly evolving the way they want it to. And let's talk about some of those lyrics, shall we? So let's do that. So, I don't know what just happened with this tab, but alright, so here we go. Stuff like this. Her shopping bag broke, sending eggs and flour crashing down to the ground, just like star clusters smashing. But no one will give her a glance. They just shuffle on home in a trance. Also, too, you got in an ordinary street, a car isn't where it would normally be. The driver in tears about his payment arrears. Still nobody hears when his sun disappears in a galaxy afar. You see where I'm going with this? First day of the new job, and he was so nervous, the suit and the platitude. Can I be of service? His boss made him clean all the cars. While he wondered, is there life on Mars? And meanwhile, the stars line themselves up in order while we bicker on with our fences and borders, but best not to think about that. It's better to live without facts. This is just a prime example of how very unique Steven Wilson's lyrical ideas are. He's definitely one of the more unique lyricists I've heard of any one person or band in general over time, and that's from listening to a lot of different music over the years, of course. You even got this kind of phrase. And now in her old wedding bed, a lady will dream that her husband is dead. Of course, he's alive. He'll be home around 5. Still silence arrives when a nebula dives into our Milky Way. Again, I mean, very unique mix back and forth between on Earth and space stuff. It's like you have that old school feel with things, but it's in a more, like it said there on the thing, more modern context. So basically, around the 9:30 mark, you go back to the section that basically was occurring around the 4-minute mark with more of those lyrics I was just reading through in the instrumental backing, roughly the same. But 10 minutes in, there's a brief pickup, and those notes being played there around the 10-minute mark, you hear them in a bit of a different structure, closer to the 15:30 mark, which we'll get to in a little bit. But closer to 11 minutes in, what's cool here is that you hear what sounds sort of similar to what an Opeth section would be like, Opeth acoustic section, which I thought was pretty cool. It definitely reminded me of that instantly, like Michael Ackerfeet basically playing on this song, which was really cool. And they have collaborated before. Wilson, Stephen and Michael have collaborated on music before. They have an album together, actually, back in 2012. But then through 12 to 13 minutes, you get this like slow buildup of the next section, which, again, it goes back to my remark early in the video, I should say, about the slow buildup. It's kind of like you go up to point B, you kind of go to a point, a little bit down, point, go back up, point down. It's kind of like that. It's like offloading a little bit, but adding more each time. So it's very unique how the structure is through here. 14 minutes in, we're still with the same instrumental build-up. It's a very slow, gradual build-up. By the 14.5-minute mark, there's this very unique piano section happening where you even hear some of that like minor tone to it, as if like another drastic thing's getting ready to happen or something like that. The suspense here is actually really nice. It's a nice little change of feel with the song. So there's like a groovy part going on through here too with the notes, especially with like sounding, again, building that suspense, and there's even a little bit of a guitar solo in this as well. Then you get to near the 16-minute mark, and there's a bit of an intense reprise of what was played about a few minutes earlier, except again, like I said, the structure being different. I'm referring to the specifics of the notes and how they're being played, and with adding a little bit to it as well. Just kind of like, you know, a drastic thing is happening where it's just like there's a big clashing on planet Earth with a clashing in space, kind of like the human insignificance of space, basically. That's what this song is about. I'll mention that a little bit here in just after I talk about the song in just a moment. 17 minutes, or excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. So at 16 and a half minutes, you have like these space rock laser-like notes, which is more likely a flanger effect on what you use on a guitar. But then you get to 17 to 18 minutes, things kind of hollow out with pure atmosphere in a way. Kind of like you're drifting farther and farther away from Earth. It's kind of really, it's really like, what word do I want to use? It's not, I don't want to use the word unique. I want to use something different. It's kind of just drift. It's like you feel adrift. It's almost like there's no feeling. You're not stationary, but you're just, it's almost like you're numb. You're like out of your state of mind. I don't know. Hard to explain. And that's the thing is, when you listen to Steven Wilson music, it takes multiple listens to fully understand what's going on. Not so much to get used to it, but more or less to really get it, like to understand the meaning. His music definitely hits right away, though, for in terms of intensive purposes of just simply liking it or enjoying it. Vocal callback near the 18-minute mark to the very beginning, which leads into a gentle section, kind of feeling like closure through the remainder of the last 5 minutes of the song. The last 5 minutes is mainly atmosphere and a little bit of space. With some stuff being played there, but it's just almost like closure, like having a sunset and having gone through watching something different. I don't know how to explain it, but man, you definitely feel like you're drifting from reality the last couple minutes, especially this song. So I liked that a lot. That leads into the overview, the self-titled track. Before I get to that, though, I do want to mention real quick, the Objects That Live this track, basically, like I said, explores the vastness of the cosmos in contrast to the fleeting nature of human existence and concerns. The song uses a post-apocalyptic scenario narrated by survivors looking back at Earth from space to highlight humanity's insignificance in the grand cosmic timeline. It contrasts everyday human dramas with the monumental events of the universe, suggesting a loss of perspective and ambition in favor of shallow distractions. So, and you're talking about in a time period in the world of these days where distraction is so common among the human race, essentially. Especially when you're more in a thought of thinking about today's time. This song definitely hits very, very on a grand scale, in my opinion. It's just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's really like it speaks true in a way. I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to find the words for it. Again, that song really, really impressive. Now let's get to the second song. Starts off with some like noise, kind of like I want to say ambience, but not long after the start, though, you start hearing a female-like narration of like different celestial objects. It's actually Steven Wilson's wife, or Rotem. If I mispronounced it, I apologize. But through the first couple of minutes of her just doing these, basically listing off different specs, different celestial objects, their names and stuff, and characteristics, even naming Beetlejuice. It kind of actually makes me feel like I'm listening to Voyage 34 again, which is very interesting because Voyage 34 is a Porcupine Tree album that is not, I don't think it's an official LP, but it's it's like a, I don't know. I don't think it's considered an official LP. No, it's not. It is an album, but it's one where it's just like, it just sounds like a whole experiment, essentially. Like, it's been years since I've listened to it, but it was a very, I don't want to say strange experience, but it was one where it was just like, there was this like very strange, I don't know. I'm going to get lost in thought. Let's keep going. I don't want to waste too much time, but again, also too, one word I forgot to mention, some of the stuff, especially in the second song, it almost feels a little bit acidic. Like there's some acidity going on. I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just saying it almost sounds like acidity, basically, kind of feel. Kind of like in a situation like this where you're playing, when you're hearing music like this, and again, like that spacey theme, atmosphere, again, sounding like older Porcupine Tree. I'm definitely getting a bit of that. It sounds a bit like the early days when Porcupine Tree was mainly Steven Wilson. And it's actually really, really nice. It still sounds refreshing. It doesn't sound like something where it's like, oh, I mean, yeah, you've heard of Steve. Like, if for instance, if you've heard of his stuff from the past, it's like, yeah, I've heard it before. But in this day and age, where he's, still doing albums and he's still in this realm of the genre, it's like he keeps it fresh. He kind of keeps it in a way unpredictable. This is why he's one of the best. Now, through the 5-minute mark, there's a transition. It kind of opens up, almost feeling like, in my opinion, spring-like. But with the lyrics, it actually goes against kind of that mark in a way. I'll explain. So, in this way, snow is falling, but it can't be seen from here. And back on Earth, my loving wife's been dead for years. I see myself in relation to it all, what seemed important now like dust inside the squall. Each moment for me is a lifetime for you. So while the instrumental backing sounds mostly positive, the exact opposite with the lyrical stuff is occurring. It's just like, okay, very interesting. It's like an astronaut seeing things from, basically, again, looking at Earth and just seeing. It's like, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I'm lost with words at this point. It's hard to describe his stuff, to be honest. To me, it is. I don't know. I just have a hard time describing Steven Wilson music in general because it's like, wow, okay. So through the 6:30, 7:30 mark, there's a little bit of a change up in not only pace, but just what you hear at the instrumental backing. Again, some spacey guitar and groovy bass line. There's a nice groovy bass going on through the 7-minute mark, especially. Into the 7:30 point, passage of like a piano mixing up with the mood, more of a thoughtful mood type of vibe, kind of like thinking about things. Maybe even the vibe of like, again, being in the place of the astronaut and watching Earth overall from from just many miles away, and what's happening on Earth, much different from space. Obviously, it's just like Earth. You see it as this like luminescent globe, but the thing is, there's just so much strife, human conflict that occurs on a daily, not even just daily basis, hourly, minute by minute basis. And it's like, you tend to really change your thought process, like, can really change a lot. If you view the globe from a different perspective, and especially from a very different location when you're in a eternal universe, of course, known as space, as we know. So, which is what really caught my attention. I think that really brought about the continuation of me feeling immersed with the song, which was really cool. Now, getting through the 9-minute mark, we have more harmonized vocals. Again, 70s. It just feels very 70s-ish, maybe a little bit of the 80s, but I just feel so, because of all the music I heard from the 70s and what I was used to hearing that, it's just like, I feel that nostalgia. Maybe it's just me having a nostalgia thing in my head, or just nostalgia in reference to growing up listening to a lot of the 70s and 80s, but I had a lot of decades mixed in with what was being brought to me from my parents growing up. But basically, though, through 9:45, there's this very brief old school synth kind of like vibe going on here. Basically, it drops suddenly afterwards. It's like an abrupt transition that happens into like a fallout almost, or like a sudden flashback to maybe a simpler time in life or something like that. And then we go back to Steven Wilson's wife doing more of that same celestial object narration through the 11-minute mark. The main difference here, in comparison to the early stuff we heard on this song, there's like a jazzy percussion. Jazzy kind of like percussion in a way. So, not played in like the simple, basically the drums, you're hearing a bit of a mix up of the drums. through like 11:30 to 12-minute markers, like unraveling lyric. I said it in here, taking my notes on this, unraveling lyrics. I can't talk. Talking about this record is starting to mess my words up because it's so unique, and it's just so, oh gosh. From the air, from the dust, from the sea, and from the blood, in a capsule for the billions of years preserved, all we were, all destroyed, drifting on through the void, all as all permanence of matter disappears, taken. So through 13, basically by the 13-minute mark, we see an abrupt change again. It's kind of quirky-ish. It's just, there's a clap beat going on at this point too, with a synth solo. Female voice again. Rodham coming back to us with some more of those spoken word thing going on. And then the last 3 minutes, you hear like kind of like a change in the key of the song, kind of reaching a resolution, and then some bits of saxophone. Yeah, saxophone being played. The way that the last 3 minutes basically course itself, I liked it a lot. Almost like you orbited an entire day, or orbited around the Earth slowly, and that was that, with all the thoughts that go through your mind through doing it, and then it's almost like the credits rolled. So this album really, yeah, it's one that's a thinker, that's for sure. It gives a lot of thought, and it's one that creates a lot of thought within our minds, thinking about current day stuff, and then just also of the general table, the general discussion on the table of viewing Earth differently, viewing it from a different place, viewing it in the comparison and contrast of Earth from space events. This album has grown on me, actually. First listen, it was pretty good on the first listen, but each subsequent listen is like, it's like, wow, it just more gets ingested within my mind of just thinking about it. And not only with the immersion of it, but also too, it's like the application of the record to the times, basically, in general. This is a strong album. Right now, out of a score of 100, it's a 90. I think I'm going to give it around a 90. It's an A minus. I like it. Man, Steven Wilson, I have yet to hear a bad song from him. I'm not kidding. I've yet to hear a record from him where I'm like, it's not like, or it's like, it's not jiving with me. No, every record I've heard of his, I'm just like, wow, the captivation of it really, really wows me. The wow factor is there all the time with them. But thank you guys for watching. A little bit longer of a video than I wanted it to be, but it's okay. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. The next album review will probably be, I don't know, I'm not sure yet. You guys will see in the near future, though. I'm going to try to do one of these once a week at least, hopefully. That's the goal. But again, stay tuned for that video I mentioned at the beginning of this video as well. And take care. Let me know what your thoughts are on Steven Wilson's The Overview. What did you like about it? What did you possibly not like about it? Honestly, I really like the sound a bit in a way, but we can agree to disagree. Let me know your opinion down in the comments below. I'll see you guys again soon.